guys, Dr. Andy here. Today, let's go over a posterior chain warm-up routine, okay? So it is about to be springtime, it's getting a lot warmer outside, and we have spent all winter long sitting at home, hibernating, getting tighter and tighter unless you've been hitting the gym pretty regularly, okay? So as a result, the vast majority of us are really, really tight, we're really, really stiff, and if we just go out there and we try and swing our golf club, we try and go play soccer, we go for our springtime runs, oh man, you know, that's a recipe for disaster. We are going to get hurt. So let's start thinking about how can we prepare for that? What kind of a warm-up can we do to avoid an injury, okay? That would be our best scenario, okay? And I've got 4 different things that I want to go over with you today, okay? We have a downward dog to a cobra. That is a fantastic stretch. And then we have a hip to hinge. So 2 different stretches and then 2 different muscle activation exercises. We're going to do the glute bridge and we're going to do a monster walk, okay? So this exercise or this routine should take you about 5 minutes. So if you do these, 4 exercises for about 5 minutes before your next run, before your next outing, it is really going to help you prevent any kind of injury, okay? So the very first one is the most simple. It is a hip to hinge, okay? So it's a fancy way of saying we're going basically the movement that is a hip hinge as well as a squat. So a hip hinge is we have a little bit of a bend in our knees and then it's the downward motion. It's like doing a deadlift, okay? So the feet are about shoulder width apart and we start with the hinge. We're going to grab our toes and then we move directly into a squat. Let me show you what that looks like, okay? So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down in a hinge and grab the tips of my toes. Like that, right? So a little bit with a hinge is you don't go down like into a squat. A little bit of a bend in the knees, but for the most part, when you're doing a hinge, your butt is going backwards, not down, okay? So watch how my butt goes back. I grab a hold of my feet. You'll feel a lot of tension in your hamstrings, okay? This is what we want. We want that stretch. Grab your hamstrings and then down into a squat. 1, 2, 3. In reality, you're going to do about 6 of them. So if you do each of these exercises about 5 to 6 times, we're going to be pretty happy. So 6 of those hinge to a squat. And on that last one, you do that, the grab. Say that's number 6, up, and then release the hinge. All right? That right there is a hip to hinge stretch. We're going to follow that by a downward dog into cobra. You'll see this all day long if you've done any kind of yoga. So head down into a plank position. Downward dog is shifting our weight backwards, putting our butt up in the air. You're going to feel a huge stretch along the posterior chain. And then a cobra is coming down, releasing the feet so the toes point, and then pushing up like this as if you are a cobra. And then backwards into the downward dog, back to the cobra. 6 of those ought to do it, okay? Let's move into the muscle activation exercises now. The first one, let's do a glute bridge. I've shown you lots of different glute bridges. Let's do this one on a ball. You can do this one at home if you want. So this is like a basic glute bridge. We also call it like a hip thrust, okay? And you'll see why in just a moment. You're going to just thrust your hips forward. So imagine you're going to do a glute bridge, or if you want to do like a sit-up on one of these, you're going to slide down, butt hits towards the ground, and then thrust your hips. Just like that. Okay? And each time that you do it, you're squeezing your glutes, okay? You're not squeezing your legs. You're squeezing your glutes to push your hips straight up into the air. I would say instead of 6 of those, you want to do a good dozen of them. So we'll do that by 2. Very last one is a monster or lateral walk. The best way to do this is if you have a band. If you don't have a band, well, you can do one at home without. But for today, let me show you how to do it with a band. You're going to put it around your knees. So both of the knees go in. I want you to do like a little squat, so a little bit of, a bend in the hips, a little bend in the knees, arms up like this, you're like sitting down, and then I want you to do 6 to one side, and then 6 the other way. We're not bringing our feet all the way together. We're just doing a little shift, all right? Both directions, 6 times, all right? So those 4 exercises, if you do them before going out and exercising, it is really gonna warm up the legs. It's really gonna warm up the posterior chain. It should take you no more than 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is worth it so you don't get hurt. And then you can't go play golf later this week. You can't, go play basketball with your friends. So don't get into that. Go ahead, do this routine. You will not regret it. If you have any questions, send them my way. And always remember to live with passion, not pain.